Hello, everybody. Hello, Nina.
Hello.
Welcome to Books by Adrian, everyone. Thank you for being here. A very special episode of Books by Adrian, like the old sitcoms, where they would warn you,
Yeah,
hey, man, this one's going to be serious.
this is a special one.
This is a special one. So, welcome, Nina Moreno, author of Don't Date Rosa Santos, and Our Way Back to Always.
Yes. Got
Is
it.
that out yet?
No, it's out in October.
Okay. So, I know Nina from way back, high school days.
Way back.
Way back. Was it junior year or senior year that you came?
It was my junior year, but it was like halfway, like the year was almost over. It was like February or something. Yeah. Little Nina.
That's right. And English class?
It was English, writing. Right? Yeah.
The class
it was.
It was.
Full circle.
And it was also ironically one of the classes that I just didn't do shit for the entire time. I was a terrible student, and I just blew off all the work and procrastinated until like the day before the final. I passed. I graduated. I was a bad student. I figured it out.
You got it.
Can you go ahead and take us through your, broad strokes journey as a writer, how you came to publish your first book?
My writing journey.
Yeah. Because I know it started back in high school.
Yeah, like I was definitely that kid who had a poetry journal and was always scribbling away my thoughts and my feelings that were so big and emotional and angsty. And then when I graduated from high school, I went to community college. I went to Valencia, and I was going to be a journalism major because if you want to be a writer, that's what you do, right? You can't just like write creatively for a living. You have to become a like serious writer, and serious writers are journalists.
Yeah.
So I became a journalism major, and in one of my first like journalism classes at Valencia, I remember my professor, he pulled me aside one day because he was like, your paper that you just turned in was absolutely not the assignment. You got it terribly wrong, but I couldn't stop reading it. And he like spoke to me about, have you ever thought about writing fiction? I was like, well, sure, of course. I was a kid who wrote fan fiction in my notebooks and about Dawson's Creek and Backstreet Boys, but that's not a job.
Man, that takes me back.
That's not a real job. But he was like, and he told me, he was like, you got to hustle. You become a waitress. Do what do what it is you got to do but do what you want to do. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, okay. Graduated.
Thanks,
got my 2-year degree, transferred to Gainesville, went to UF, and after jumping around majors again, because I was still like, this isn't a job that I can do, so I became a history major. And then finally it was English, but with the sort of stoic realization that, oh my God, I'm gonna have to become a teacher. And I'm like, I did not want to be a teacher, but it was like this was the only thing I knew I could do was reading books.
Isn't that insane? Because it's the same here. Like as if all the books I read appeared out of thin air. Like, you can't do this for work. Like, this is not a job. Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I think there was like part of you that's like, because you read the same books over and over, and you get assigned the same books over and over, and it always seems like they're old dead people, and it's like, this isn't an active career unless you're Nora Roberts or James Patterson. You can't do that like for a living, right? No, but I finally gave in, became an English major, whatever, fine. And then after I graduated, I moved back home with my parents, which was super humbling and fun, with a baby. So,
Been there. Actually,
and then I've
been exactly there.
Yeah. So, but it was 2008. Like, it was hard. And, so in my bedroom, I just started writing again. It was funny. I was like in a real depressive state, and I just pulled out the old stories, and I was like, this is somewhere my brain can go and just like hang out and not think about, how lost and like I have a degree and I can't do anything with it kind of feeling it was. And I just started writing and writing and writing. And then I started thinking about publishing for real. And even from that point, like that was like 2009. And I didn't send my first query to a literary agent until 2014, 13. So it still took a while, a lot of research, because even at that point, people were starting to talk about indie publishing, and I thought about it and I looked it up and everything like that. But I got so overwhelmed by all of it that I was just like,
was on you.
Yeah. And so like, even now, like I get stressed out, like about taxes. I'm like, I need help.
Oh my God. My greatest fear is when I'm self-employed and I have to figure out my own taxes. Like it's not taken out of my paycheck. What paycheck?
No.
So I'm terrified.
It's so much to become like, I don't know, when you go from that world of, okay, I go to work, I come home and I'm done and somebody's going to write my check and I don't have to think about, to now I have a box of receipts and I'm like.
Yeah. It's funny because the whole way this started is I finally got to the point where I was like, I want to stop punching the clock. I want to stop like having to be at a place at a time and dress away and talk away and point away. Like it's all nonsense. And I'm tired of dealing with people because I'm sorry. Like I don't like people. So I'm a writer. I don't like people. So it's just this thing where like you want out of the system, but then you're like, oh, wait a minute. But now I'm out of the system and I have to do everything myself.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
There's you want out of the machine, but the machine that when it's all it's really hard to, I guess, adjust.
Yeah. So then what happened next? Uh-oh, did we lose her? I think you froze on me. Are you back? I think we may have lost her. She'll be back. We're going to go to the chat. In the meantime, hello, everybody. My sister's here. Ginny was the first through the door. Nina, are you back? We can't hear you.
Oh, yes.
Ah, there you are. Hi.
Hi.
We lost you for a second.
I know. Let me see. You're frozen on my end, but I can hear you, so we're good.
Oh, so I wonder if it's me then. Okay. All right. So I decided to go through the chat because I thought we had lost, and now we actually have lost you. So it is not me. Let the record show that it was Miss Nina who lost the signal. So petty. I'm so petty. She'll be back. It'll be fine. Hey guys, my sister's here. I'm here. Barrett Lori. What up, duder? She's coming back. It's thinking about letting her in. There she is. Hey. So we know now definitively it wasn't me. It was you.
Yeah, Adventures in Wi-Fi at Home with.
Yeah. When I moved, I just moved. I'm in a new house, and I had to move the cable over, the internet over, and I just happened to like be at the right time, and I got in on a great deal, and I upgraded the hell out of my my upload speed, which is what I really need here. So, yeah, but
yeah, and now with all the kids at home doing virtual school, like middle of the week stuff. Oof.
Yeah. Oh man. And we moved in the middle of the week, in the very middle of the week. So we were talking about your journey as an author, and you were right around the time where you had become an English major and you were thinking about going through publishing, but you're also thinking about all the monumental amount of crap that you got to do.
Right.
Where'd you go from there?
And I am inherently a lazy and anxious person. So I knew I needed help. I knew I wanted the support system I wanted an agent. I wanted that advocate, that champion for my stuff. Otherwise, it was overwhelming.
Had you already written the book at this point?
I had written, when I first started looking up agents, I had written a manuscript. It is not the manuscript that I eventually queried. It is not the manuscript that I, sold or whatever. But it was the manuscript that got me far enough to start being serious about the concept, the idea of it. Gotcha. I actually remember telling you about it. It was this crazy Boondock Saints story between these two kids. It was a mafia son or something. It was just real dramatic.
It's ringing a vague bell. Was it when
Yeah. It was good times. But
I can't remember.
And then in 2012, 2013, I started really writing the book that I ended up querying, getting my agent with. I did pitch contests on Twitter to connect with other writers, to connect with agents, to figure out who's in publishing, who, because I went to Books A Million. I bought the big book that's full of agents and their information and their submission guidelines and stuff like that. But Twitter was kind of cool because it was getting to see those agents interacting with people, getting to see those agents around the water cooler, I guess, so to speak. And I did the pitch contest, learned how to write, a submission package and a query letter and a synopsis and all that kind of stuff. And I actually did pretty well in one of the contests, and I had a lot of requests, but that did not give me an agent. They were all a lot of requests that turned into a lot of rejections, which is, the name of the game in publishing.
Yeah.
So, but I stuck with that book, and I really, really did love it. So I continued to sort of take the information that I learned from doing that process, and I just started querying a little more, thoughtfully, instead of just sort of throwing things out there and seeing what stuck. I, did my due diligence.
So then
research. Yeah.
Picking up an agent then was your way in. That was your way of kicking everything off and going for traditional publishing rather than doing everything yourself, because at least now you have a middleman to those guys, right?
Right. And for me, it was, and it's proved to be really important for me, just because I don't know if I would have been able to get into some of the doors that I would have gotten into, that I've been able to get into otherwise. But I also have somebody who's constantly my in between, contracts and film scouts and foreign scouts and doing, all that stuff that it was so overwhelming for me, I think. So, and I've been really lucky that I did connect with an agent who sees the entirety of what I want to do in my career, and every decision we make is always sort of conceptualizing, everything I want to do. But
that's cool.
Yeah, agents can, and I most of my, other published friends are on agent 2 or 3 or 4, because it is a business partnership and it doesn't always work out.
Yeah.
Right. And the agent can leave, or you connected on the first book, but you're not connecting on the next, what you want to write next. And, it's
That's
a whole nother.
The idea that the agent also needs to connect to the book as well.
Yeah. And,
tell me a little bit about that. That's the first I'm kind of hearing about that.
Well, because when you query an agent, you're writing a letter about your book. And most agents will say, tell me about the book. Don't tell me where you went to college, all these kinds of things. Tell me about the book. Because now agents are much more editorial, much more, they're helping you polish that book for several rounds sometimes before you even go out on submission, before you even go to the editors and the different houses.
Really?
So so by and large, most agents now are to some degree editorial. So they are helping you, get your book into tip-top shape out there. So with having somebody else sort of in the kitchen with you, they need to also connect with the story. So it does sort of open you up to another, another step, another gate you got to pass, another, whatever it is. But like with my agent, the book that she signed me with was not the book that we sold. We ended up shelving it after, a year of being on submission with it. And my next book was very different, but because she connected with my voice, that carries over into where now, like, I'm writing a middle grade and publishing a middle grade. And that's not even something that she represents. Like, it's not on her, manuscript wish list or whatever, but because she was already with me and working with me, and this, editor approached us, she was like, okay, let's figure this out. And so she reached out to the other agents at her agency who do represent middle grade, and like making sure that I get the best contract that I can,
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. I didn't realize that so many agents were editorial and so hands-on like that. That's actually news to me. Very interesting. It's funny because right when you were talking about that, Barrett in the chat asked exactly about that. Let's go really quick through some of his questions here, because it looks like he's throwing up a couple of good ones here. So that's the one that you were talking about.
Yes, my agent is pretty editorial. Now that we're on like project 3 or 4 together, it's not the editor. The process of me giving her a story and her going out with it is a little bit different. Like, she's not like giving me line edits or anything like that, but she is constantly like helping me brainstorm an idea, helping me sort of see where it would fit in the sort of proposed schedule of, okay, you've got a book coming out in October. Okay. You've got a middle grade coming out next year and 2 short stories. Okay. If you want to do a third YA, here's a good sweet spot where we could submit it so that I'm always, having a book come out spaced out, So her version of being editorial with me now isn't so much about, jumping into the manuscript and getting, copy edit notes and stuff like that. It's more, I guess, broader of where does this fit into the Nina Moreno universe or whatever.
And before you landed on that agent, how many did you go through?
The other day, I accidentally like dug back into my email because I was going through different folders, and I like got in, like searched and found some of my old rejections. But I had like about 100 rejections. Whoa. Probably a little over. Yeah. And that's, over a year of sort of sending out 10 or 15, getting, sometimes you would get a form rejection. Sometimes you would get nothing. Sometimes you would get that request for a partial or a full. And so it was like every time I was about to like stop and be like, okay, I'm done. I need to shelve this book. I'd get that next request and I'd be like, okay, I'm still in it. So, and then, yeah, it was like 100.
The way you describe it, it almost sounds like a Vegas game,
A little bit.
Like the rush.
Yeah, no. And the rush, and then the rejection that hits your inbox when you're like feeling good and not feeling good no more.
Yeah, the one that brings you down from a good day. That's some bullshit. How many completed manuscripts had you written before you queried?
One.
For agents, even just the one.
Before I queried the one, which was the one before, Don't Date Rosa Santos, I had one, and that was the one that got me moving towards actually considering publishing.
Yeah. See, that does make me feel a little better, because I'm breaking a lot of rules doing my book. You're not supposed to like go for broke on your first ever manuscript. But I'm going for broke. Well, I mean, I'm feeling good about it, so I'm all in, man. And that's why I wanted to apologize that I haven't yet finished Don't Date Rosa Santos, but only because my deadline for finishing my first draft is March 31st, and I still have like 30,000 words to get there.
Oof.
So I'm just like
March 31st.
Yeah.
Bro.
I'm ready like a madman. But I'm keeping to my schedule needed to complete. I'm actually keeping to my schedule. That's great. I mean,
Oh, that's good.
I'm having a little help from different sources, but I'm getting it done. So yeah, just the one, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
but it
yeah,
did take a couple, like 100
Yeah.
queries.
it took, yeah, and me just sort of reevaluating and then changing things up, and then throughout that process, the manuscript does change because you'll get that partial request, you'll get that full request, and I got a couple of R&Rs. And R&R is when the agent gives you a revise and resubmit. Like, I really like this. Here are some things that if you agree with this and you would like it edit in this direction, I would love to see it again. And I had one that I didn't do because I didn't really agree with the edits. And then I had like two that I did do because it was like I almost got like an edit letter from these agents. And that was like really cool that they took the time to really like dig into my story, despite the fact that I wasn't their client. And I resubmitted. And unfortunately, I didn't sign with either of those agents, but each time the manuscript did evolve and sort of hopefully level up.
Man, it's such a like ongoing process. Like, how do you ever feel done with a book? Isn't there always something else to be done to make it better?
It feels that way, but I think the more that you just sort of do it, like with getting edited by an editor at a publishing house or whatever, there's so many phases. There's the developmental edit, that those first letters, and like that 11-page letter that sort of just breaks your book down and apart, and you got to take a day before you can jump in and read it because whoo.
Yeah.
But then you'll do like 2 rounds of that, and then you'll do line edits where they're in the document changing things and fixing things, and you agree or disagree or stead it or whatever it is. And then you're doing copy edits, and that they bring in all the copy editors, and they're going through it with a fine-tooth comb. And did you realize that you said it's Wednesday over here, but it's Friday over here? And they're sort of just making sure that you are tracking your own story. And so once you've gone those different but several rounds, by the end, I'm telling you, you're like, fine, take the book. I'm done with it. I never want to look at this book again. So I think that's how you sort of make your peace with it, because at least for me, I need other people in the kitchen with me. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep stirring the pot. So having those different voices and those different perspectives help me edit the book makes me feel more like, okay, it's done. Take it.
That actually leads me to a question that I was going to ask later when I went through my thing. And Barrett, we'll be back to your question in a minute. Which, by the way, it feels like Barrett's conducting the interview. He's got all the questions.
I love that.
Have you read Don't Date Rosa Santos since releasing it? I've always wondered if authors go back and actually read their own stuff. I think
Rosa is kind of like she's special. Of course she's special. But it's kind of I don't know, an experience for me, because it is...
First book.
It's my first book. Like, I wrote it specifically about, this feeling of having a parent deal with exile and, all these kinds of things, and sort of exploring the idea of a family curse. Cause I feel like every single Latino I meet, it's like, oh yeah, we got a family curse. Like, the way we use that sort of imagination to explain, trauma and generational, inherited things that we deal with. But then when I sold the book, 4 months later, my dad passed away. So it was like, in talking about Rosa, like, I love this book. It's sweet. It's a rom-com-y kind of story in a small town. But I'm constantly talking about Cuba. I'm constantly talking about exile. I'm constantly talking about grief. So it's almost like I can't go into that story with a sort of light eye about it. Like, because all of it is sort of entrenched in those moments. So for me, it's just like, I have listened to the audiobook. That's the one way I've sort of re-experienced it, which I thought was really cool. And I think the narrator did a fantastic job. And Craig, my husband, he's listened to it like 5 times because he's like, it's your book. Like, I'm supporting
that
you.
doesn't
Like,
surprise me.
no, you
That
know,
doesn't surprise me at all.
He's such a fanboy. But with the next one, I got to have a little bit more fun because I got to tell, like, it's a dual POV YA romance, so I get to, you know, do both characters. And I've, like, my first manuscripts were both dual POV. Rosa was the first time I wrote just like one perspective. So for me, the second one is a little bit more of the format of what I like to read. Mm-hmm. So in going different rounds of edits, like, I enjoy rereading it every time. So I'm interested to see that if when I'm done with the next one, if I'll reread it.
Yeah. Right on. And it's interesting that you said all that about the sort of weight behind that book to you now, because I was talking about it when I was hyping everybody up for today's live stream, that the cover for Rosa just really trips me out, because I know that it's a painting on the wall behind her, but that wave, like, just coming at her, it's just, it says everything that you're talking about in one, like, image. That cover is just amazing, I think.
I love the cover. And it was cool because when my because they did the photo shoot with the model, mm-hmm. and I got to see sort of behind the scenes stuff or whatever. So it was really, really cool to see the cover evolve even after they took the picture. And I like, the wave is like my favorite thing ever. And
yeah, the wave is perfect. I love it. Will you ever go back to the book that you shelved?
It's funny because I was actually laughing about this with my agent a couple months ago, because I was like, it feels like once a quarter I'll be like, hey, I'm thinking about that first book again. And, you know, she's incredibly supportive. She's like, you know, however you want to do it. But I think the thing about that story is I don't think I'll ever publish it the way it is now. But I think I'm going to mine like 5 different things from it, like specific characters, setting, you know, some of the things that I was trying to do in the story. But I think I might save that one, honestly, because I think it's meant to be adult, so, and not a YA. So I think that's put it in my back pocket and let it simmer for a little while and see what I can come up with in a couple of years.
Yeah. A lot of authors have that book that they shelved in the beginning of their writing journey, and
it haunts
they're
you,
always,
man.
It just haunts. Exactly. It haunts you. Perfectly said. Let's see. So, did you connect with your agent right away? You talked about this a little bit, but if there was a period where you had some imposter syndrome, is that a thing?
I still deal with imposter syndrome all the time. Like, I'm dealing with it now. I feel like with writing the middle grade, and, you know, I'm in edits with my editor for the middle grade, but middle grade is so new for me, and I didn't read a whole ton of it. Like, I have like a couple of books that I've read in the last 2 years of, you know, friends that I've loved, but I feel like the kids are gonna smell that I'm not for real. They're gonna be like, this one, she doesn't know. So yeah. I feel like with the middle grade, I'm constantly like, somebody else come do this. Come fix this. I don't know. It's over. I'm super. A lot of imposter feelings, I guess, because I'm writing a new age category and it's so different. And but with my agent, I mean, we connected. We've definitely had growing moments where, you know, it's a lot of communication because it is a relationship, and it's a relationship that your career, you know, so you always have to be on the same page. And if you're not, you know, you have to. So I think we've done a lot of growing together, because when I signed with her, I was like her second or third client, but she was with an agency that was established and had, you know, mentors and stuff like that. So we kind of have grown together, I guess.
Right on. That's cool. Like, both at the beginning of your careers.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious how you ended up writing a category that you didn't typically read yourself. Like, how did you end up there?
Yeah, writing middle grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my kids finally think I'm cool, so that that's one bonus point. And it's not just a middle grade; it's an illustrated middle grade. Like, so it's not a straight,
Right on.
picture book, but there's illustrations throughout. But it was actually through connecting with an editor. She works at Scholastic, and we became friendly on Twitter. And she read Don't Date Rosa Santos, and she was like, I want to work with you. And then we came up with this project together. So it was kind of my first time writing toward an idea, like being given a seed of an idea, and then sort of me creating it and expanding on it and stuff like that. And then she took it to, acquisitions, and Scholastic decided to go with it. But it was very much a project that came together because of networking, exactly what you're doing now.
Yeah, exactly. Right on. Okay, so I saw Barrett asking here about marketing, and I wanted to sort of build up to that a little bit because I didn't want to just dive right into it. Because Rosa was published on Hyperion, is that right?
Disney Hyperion, right.
Right. And then your second book, same or new publisher?
New publisher, but actually Rosa is also with that publisher.
Okay. Oh, you moved it over.
Oh, did you lose me?
I'm still here. Are you? You? Oh boy. All right. She'll be back soon. Let's give her a second. All right, you guys. You're killing it in the chat. Keep the questions coming. I'll take this moment, I suppose, to let you guys know that there's a contest coming to the channel. And I'll have the details for you guys in its own video very soon. But the cliff notes are it's a flash fiction contest. It's a flash fiction contest. And here's how it works. You guys will have roughly a month. Excuse me, I'm sorry. You guys will have roughly 1 month to submit a flash fiction piece. The winner will then have that flash fiction piece be turned into a little animation on my channel with voiceover. But the real prize is this. I send your story to a friend of mine who is a very accomplished musician, and he is going to score it, or at the very least get started on scoring it, because then he's going to be on an episode of Livestream Sunday in May. And on that episode, he will score it live for us. He will teach us how you score a story. And the purpose of this is to learn storytelling in all its facets, including music. Because whether you're writing a novel that might go into an audiobook or later get adapted into animation or movie or whatever, this is an aspect of storytelling that can help you tell your story. So that's the rough details. Is you guys write a story, and the winner gets an original score, and then he'll finish it, and I'll put it into the video, and the video gets published with all of it. All right. So I hope that sounds cool. I'm going to announce it later this week on this channel. I'll put up a video, and once I do that, I will open submissions, and you guys can start submitting stuff until April 15th, I think, is going to be the deadline, somewhere around there. All right. I feel bad. I feel like her internet is letting her down, and we're missing out. All right, so all right. Oh, awesome. Please do. Please enter. Any story we are I thought about assigning a theme or some sort of, topic or whatever, but ultimately I decided to leave it wide open to any story. It's flash fiction, so there'll be a word limit. I'm thinking it's probably around 800. And she's coming back.
There we go.
She's on the move.
I am outside.
All right, maybe this will work better. I'm sorry, I feel bad.
No.
You feel like we're missing out.
No, dude. I did I had to do a live panel a couple weeks ago, and it was with Oprah Magazine, and it was like a Latinx Heritage Month, thing or whatever. Okay. And my Oprah Magazine, and my computer did this, and I was like, I can't go anywhere.
Jesus, man. Yeah, you gotta get your Wi-Fi fixed.
You're telling me, bro. You're telling me.
Get your agent on that. That shit'll get done. I was taking the break from our conversation to tell everybody about a contest that's coming to the channel. Cool. I want to run it by you. I'm announcing it officially later in the week when I put up a video, but I'll run it by you really quick and then we'll get back into our conversation. But the idea is for a flash fiction contest, you submit a piece, 800, 900 words, something like that, right? And, I'll have some judges. They'll pick the winner, the best story. What I'm looking for is the story with the most emotional, shifts in tone. Mm. And the reason being, because the prize is that my friend Adrian Guadalupe, who is a very accomplished musician and scores music for short films and stuff.
Oh wow!
Will be scoring the audiobook version of the story. He'll make an original score and he'll come on Livestream Sunday and score it for us. Teach us how to tell stories through music. And then I guess the prize is I'll put up an animation video with the story and the score, and it'll be a finished piece.
What?
That's cool, right? That's
so cool. That's so cool.
I just about slapped myself when I thought about this idea. I was it's too good. So I'll announce that later in the week, and I know people have some questions, but I'll answer those in that video. Don't worry, we'll get to it. All right, so Nina.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here.
So before we lost you, I wanted to work our way into talking about marketing stuff.
Right.
In order to work up to that, I was asking you about Hyperion having published your first book and how your first book is with your new publisher as well as your second. But when you were putting out that first book, I mean, it's Disney Hyperion. Mm-hmm. How much of that marketing was on your shoulders, and in what way did your agent help with that as well?
My agent helped a lot. She's constantly just putting herself between me and everybody else, because my job first and foremost is to write the book. So if I'm doing a million other things, I'm not writing the book. So, and despite the fact that my first publisher was Disney Hyperion, I'm still a debut author. I'm still, not it. Publishing with the big five, the big four, however, it's still a game of, okay, who is this season's lead title? Who's getting the push? Who's getting, sent where and put in front of, booksellers, and, one author publishing that season could get, where they're in the before times, the before pandemic times, they could be being sent to, different cons and different booksellers and being put on tour, or a big tour, or a local tour, whatever it is, while the book right next to them is getting a blog tour. And so, and there's not much you can do that is ever going to compete with what your publisher could do if you're one of those traditional books,
Right.
So just, so it's funny because it was like, I'm publishing with Disney, and I'm, if I tell my abuelo in, Colombia, he's like, "Ay, mommy, Disney?"
Yeah.
But it sounds really fancy, but it's still a lot of work on me. Like, I had to figure out how to create pre-order bookmarks. I had to figure out how to design my own, book plates that I'm going to send to people, and please pre-order my book and you can get this sent to you. I'm still doing a lot of the same hustle of a hybrid author, or, whatever it is, because, a lot of the marketing is on us regardless, unless you are that lead title, unless you are that person getting sent on book tour. But out of 10 books a season, it's going to be one book that gets that,
Yeah.
So even with that big Disney on the spine of your book, there's still a lot of work that is on you.
See, and it's that very fact that pushes so many of us into, well, I might as well do it all then.
Right. It's just,
that's where I was coming from.
How much of the pie do you want to take on? Like, for me, I was so overwhelmed that I was like, okay, I'm going to have to do all of this, but my agent is going to get on the phone and make sure that my publicist is doing this and doing that and doing that. I at least have that level of, because otherwise, not everybody's built to do it all, because I would have been like packing it in. I knew my limits. And so would I have loved a bunch more marketing? Sure. Everybody wants a bunch more marketing. Everybody wants their book to get picked by Barnes and Noble and all those kinds of, things that are out of our hands, but you'll see like incredibly creative authors who are able to do the hybrid hustle, and like everybody wants to be them, because if you can navigate all of it, like you're, you can't, you know what you're doing at every step, and you know how to make, like, I have writer friends who are traditionally published, have an agent or whatever, but they're so good at marketing. Like, they can figure out TikTok and this and book talk and, whatever it is. And they're creating graphics, and they're creating, live streams like this. And, when you're able to do all of that, more people are talking about your book.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy that it's still like so much on the author themselves. Now, the other side of that for us indie authors who are terrified of traditional publishing is them having their grubby little mitts in your story. But when you were telling the process of it, it sounded like it was all geared towards making it better. In the end, how did you feel about that, about their driving of any major changes in your story?
I'm every step of, I've been really lucky with editors, and every step of editing has made me better, because I even see that in because I'm part of a marketing collective of it was other Latinx, Latina authors who were all debuting the same year. And we created sort of this marketing collective because we were like, you know what, we're not going to let publishing sort of pin us against each other, that, okay, you're the one Latino book this year. Right. So we help market each other and we push each other's stuff, and we're, but we created a mentorship program for unpublished, writers that want to, work on their craft, want to get published in traditionally. So, and I've done it now where I've mentored three different authors, and in jumping into their manuscripts and helping them edit it, I see how much of a better writer I've become in being able to sort of access that part of my brain and sort of between the reader and the writer. And so I've been really lucky because there's never been a moment where an editor was like, here, make this huge change and you have no choice in it. there were definitely things I didn't have 100% choice in. Like initially, Don't Rosa Santos was Saint Rosa of the Sea. That was how I sold it. And, you know, in conversation of over there, they really wanted to lean more towards the rom-com because there was, you know, To All the Boys had just come out on Netflix, and there was just this bigger push towards young adult rom-coms, especially featuring characters who aren't white. So they wanted to
a whole, like, I mean, the tone was in there, but they're trying to elevate a certain tone.
They want to, So I was told, like, Saint Rosa is not going to be the title, like, but I had input in what would be. So I'm given a list, and there's always a conversation. Like, there's never for me at least, there hasn't been like a grandiose decision made without my input. Like, I got to see the cover concept. You know, I got to show them my mood boards and my Pinterest boards and my sort of what was important for me. Like, that wave was really important for me. But it is always a collective conversation. Like, and I don't know, for me, if I would tell the book I want to tell with just me. You know, I do like the sort of collaborative effort of trying to get to, I don't know, maybe it's the English student in me that's like totally, let's talk about this, you know, and if you leave me to my own devices, I'm just going to get obsessed with one character and like, plot? What's plot? I don't know.
That's a whole other conversation. What in the hell is plot? So here's an interesting question. Did you save any of your advance to put towards your marketing?
Yeah. And that was, you know, because I did get to travel with Rosa, but it was travel that I paid for. You know, they get you into the con, they get you the ticket, but, you know, you've got to pay for the flight and stuff like that. So,
jeez, man.
Yeah. And I mean,
come on, Disney.
You know, people have their top dog, and, you know, you're not everybody gets to be, you know, head of the panel or whatever it is. But, no, but I got to go to some cool places, but you know, I knew that a lot of that was going to be on me. I did my own bookmarks. I did my own, you know, book plates that I sent to everybody who pre-ordered with my signature and stuff like that. So, and taxes, man, I got to pay taxes now.
Back to taxes. It all comes back to taxes. How does your agent handle reviews with you? Do you want to see them? Do you not?
Well, I get sent the the
reviews. Good questions, Barrett.
Yeah, we're like, well,
I'm so mad at him right now.
I get sent the like trade reviews, like when they send it to like Kirkus and stuff like that. I get those. I get to see those reviews, because that's where you get, if you get, I got a starred review or whatever it is. So I get shown those, but like reviews from like readers and stuff like that, no, she doesn't send me anything like that. I try not to look at anything, because that's a reader space. You know, I don't want to, when I'm talking about books, I don't want the author to insert themselves into the conversation.
Yeah.
So I try to stay away from Goodreads, stay away from Amazon. It's hard in the beginning.
I don't know if I would read it. I mean, I know that I would until I got to that one, and then I probably would never read them again.
I used to. I mean, to be totally honest, I would read my Goodreads in the beginning when it was just like my ARC was out, my early copy, and I was like, ooh, people are liking it. And then I saw like the first like 2-star review that was like, they need to communicate, and I was like, I'm out. I can't do this.
Too much. Here's a good one. So Just Ava is asking if your book has been compared to any other books that we've heard of, and if so, was it surreal having your work compared to a recognizable name? I would like to put it in there that I've seen it compared to Gilmore Girls meets telenovela.
Yeah, when it came out, like the big I guess comparison was always Jane the Virgin. Like people loved because Jane the, you know, it was like if Gilmore Girls took place with, you know, the Villanuevas, and, you know, But no, I mean it's cool that comps are really, really cool just because in the ability to sort of show a vibe, show people can go in with, okay, not an expectation, but at least a comfortable, I don't know, familiar way into a story that's new to them. Because, but what was really cool for me was when they send out those early first copies and you're asking for blurbs from authors that you like love.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
That's the really, really cool moment, because it's like knowing that somebody whose work you've loved has now read your book and has said, "This is amazing." You're like, "Okay, pack it in. This is the best. I'm done."
Yeah.
Like that was the really cool moment.
Just walk right out into traffic.
Yeah.
It's not going to get any better than that. Distribution is the most obvious benefit of being traditionally published. Do you think that you gain more of a foothold with booksellers with each new book?
I hope so. Booksellers are incredible, incredible people who love books. And, like the way they push books, the way that, I connected with a bookseller in Miami, Christina Russell. She works at Books and Books. I actually just did a podcast with her last night. But she was like, they're loud. They're loud online. They're talking about your book. Like, they're not just putting it in people's hands, which let alone is amazing, but they're like pushing your book in all the bookseller, marketing and indie next picks. And they're helping you. Like Christina helped me plan my launch, So, and, for a minute at Disney, I didn't have a publicist yet because they were between publicists. And here's this bookseller who's reaching out purely because she loved your book, purely because she's also Cuban American. And, we want to see each other succeed. Like, we want to see more books about, people like us. And so booksellers are an incredible, like, source of support and just, So hopefully, I mean, that's the hope with the next book. You hope that, they still like the next one. It's not she totally peaked or, whatever it is.
Yeah. What is it? The one hit wonders?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
You remember that movie? What was that movie? That Thing You Do.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Needers. So I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I still want you to answer it. Did your publisher share cover art and other art for your marketing purposes?
Yeah. They created that little banner. Is that the banner you're using?
Yeah.
Was that for my website? Yeah. They made that one.
Poster.
Since, they did the cover and everything. So, but like I did the bookmarks and I did stuff like that, but they did do that. And it'll be interesting to see, because now I'm with a new publisher. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the next book. But, they reached out to an incredible illustrator, Eric Davila, who did the cover for my second book. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to see all the illustrated covers that are happening right now.
He's asking if you needed any special permissions for using this material. And I'm also curious if you can talk about who your new publisher is yet, or if that's...
Did I need permission? No. Not for like reusing my cover or anything like that. Like I put it on bookmarks. I put it on my website. They made me a Twitter banner and stuff like that. And my new publisher, Little Brown. I'm with Little Brown, because that was in February of 2020. There was a big deal where Disney Books had sold off most of their titles that weren't their own properties, their own sort of Disney property books. Not all, but most. And they sold it. The bigger dog, Hachette, who is their distributor and everything. The books went to Little Brown. Little Brown bought them. So Little Brown technically also has my first book, Don't Date Rosa Santos, is now a Little Brown Book. And because I had already sold my second book, they inherited that one too.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad it worked out that way.
Yeah, and it's cool.
In that same vein, did you have to sell foreign rights on your first book? And how is that working now?
That's all my agency. Like my agency, Triada US, they're really, really big on selling foreign rights, on retaining rights to sell, not selling the whole shebang to the publisher. So that's why you'll see world rights, or you'll see world English, or you'll see, North American, or whatever it is. So they got, English rights for my book, but then my agency, which includes my agent and then the other agents, but one of the agents there is the, foreign, they do all the foreign rights or film rights or whatever it is. And they went and then did all the like market, the big tour, so that's how it got sold to Latin America, South America, Hungary, Russia, like Macedonia, like, so they were able to do all that.
With the translations, how involved are you with that part of it? I mean,
not at all. I mean, not so much in the, hey, will you bring me one of my foreign books? No, sorry. I've spoken more to like my Latin American publisher, and they'll like reach out to do like marketing stuff. Like they'll want me to do stuff, film videos, what have you, for their websites and their sort of Twitter and stuff like that. But as far as having like input on the translation or anything, I haven't really, nothing's come up. I will get to like preview the covers, but they've most of the markets have kept the cover, but Latin America did give me a new cover. Hold on. Like my favorite one is the Spanish one.
Let me put you on a full screen so people can see it. Where am I? I'm terrible. This is awful. I suck at this. Oh my god.
Oh.
All right, let's try it again. Oh, see? I missed the wave.
I know, I do miss the waves. I love the flowers, and the flowers are like all throughout, and they have like little turtles on the pages, but it's so cute. But like even in the other markets, like Brazil kept the cover. And then Russia, I think this is Russia, kept the cover.
And
so yeah.
They send you art copies of each of them?
Yeah,
from everyone?
I haven't got all of them yet. But those will take a while because they'll like sell the rights when you're like about to be published, but then they have to then translate and edit and all that stuff. So it'll be like I just got the Russia cover or the Russia arcs books. Yeah.
Russia. Did you have separate audio rights, or did Hyperion get them in your contracts?
They got the audio, and they did. They sold them to Dreamscape, and then Dreamscape did the audiobook for Rosa. And you can actually listen to it on Spotify
for free. That's crazy.
I know.
Media rights. You mentioned them, along with the foreign rights. You kind of brushed on them, but did you retain the media rights?
Yes.
That's cool. See, it doesn't sound all bad.
It
sounds pretty great.
Yeah, it's just it's.
What rights do you wish you had retained?
No, I mean, they got World English in the audiobook, but like pretty much everything, the trade, everything's mine. And my agency, my agency was real determined, and they are like that for all their authors, because a lot of the money is in selling off those extra, selling off those foreign deals, those extra deals on top of, the advance, because, not all of us earn out. It can take a hot minute.
Yo,
Not
just
minutes to
say
get to
was
royal.
asking the real world questions. Check this out. Did your circle of support try to grow after you made it? Get some new besties? People coming out of the woodwork? Family asking for money?
I mean, it does. It evolves. It does evolve because, like, everybody you're querying with at a time, like, some people will get their agent and they'll get busy in a different way, or they won't have time to beta as many manuscripts as they might have. And then you're talking to other debuts because you joined a debut group or whatever, and then everybody in your debut group sold a second book and you haven't sold a second book. So it is weird how it evolved, but you definitely, I think, you do create a core group. And I think if you can grow with them, because you need people to be real with. You need people so you don't pop off on Twitter and say something that you're going to regret because you're frustrated in that you had a terrible editing day or you got a rejection or whatever. You need that group chat. You need that Slack to sort of decompress, and because it's a lot, it's a lot, because especially as authors, it's not just writing the book. We're having to do stuff like this. We're constantly in conversation. We're constantly having to put ourselves out there more. And, I think it's a lot to sort of compartmentalize, like, okay, I need to post a picture on Instagram. I haven't posted in a week. Instagram's algorithm's my followers won't see this. I got to do this. I got to do that. And so you're constantly thinking about yourself as a brand and as so you got to shut that part of your brain off sometimes and just complain about your edit letter or something.
Be a person. Yeah. It's ironic because it's a profession that attracts so many introverts, but you have to do everything that you hate to do as an introvert to make it.
Yeah. I say that all the time, like when I'm doing edits and stuff like that, and I'm like, I really hated school, but man, did I pick a job where I have homework for the rest of my life. Like,
right. As much as I slacked off and procrastinated in high school, that's exactly what I'm thinking now. It's like, look at all this homework I'm giving myself.
You procrastinated in high school. Now you want to write 30,000 words by the end of the month? Like, bro.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm gonna get there.
I'm a slow writer. I could never.
Me too.
I'm a slow writer. Really? Oh my God.
In general, I'm a slow writer because I tend to edit. Like every night when I sit down, I edit what I wrote the night before, and then write something new. So I'm constantly like taking a step back, and so it's just slow going that way. But once I hit March 1st, I turned off the spell check. Like I'm just like I'm just I'm not going back. I'm just gonna finish it and I'll get to the rest of it later.
I edit as I go too, and something that's kind of helped me draft faster is, instead of going back to fix something that I know I missed, or going back to fix something that I know, I didn't do the way I wanted to do, I'll make a note for myself exactly where to do it, and then I continue writing as if I already fixed it. Because if I take all that time,
it's good advice.
I'm never gonna.
I mean, I have that problem. I'll decide like 2 chapters later that this thing is happening, and now I'm like, oh no, now I got to go back and fix where I said that this would, and it's like, it's just constantly going back. So that's a good one. Just leave a note like exactly on there, because you can leave notes right on there. Leave a little comment for yourself,
and then just write like you fixed it. Yeah,
I like it. That's good advice. I like it.
Thank you.
How do you recommend authors build relationships with booksellers in their first year?
Communicate. Go to the store. Buy books. Talk to the booksellers. Attend their events. Sometimes they'll have events for authors, and 2 people show up. Be the person who shows up. Buy that local author's book. Like, that's patronize. Like, I think that's the biggest way. Because you can schmooze. You can tell them, hey, I'm an author. You can drop. Do you want to read my arc or whatever it is? But I think the most significant way is just to go to the bookstore. Be active in the community.
Build a relationship organically.
Because and sometimes it's not just author events. Like, they'll have writing groups that meet there, and they'll have nano groups that connect at the bookstore, volunteer for events and stuff like that. Be that person.
I like it. How often did you have access to your publicist from the publisher during your debut?
Um,
It's
I
killing.
published. I published at a weird time for them because they were like between publicists. So it was actually a minute before I had a publicist. But once I did have my publicist, I could. They're the ones that I've had are very, send me anything, CC me on everything. If somebody wants to connect, just send them my way. But it wasn't until like right before Rosa came out that I actually had a publicist. But now with Little Brown, it's like my book's, months out and like my publicist just emailed me like, how was the podcast last night? So, you know, sometimes you get really lucky and I feel really lucky right now.
Right on.
That's good. Yeah.
So Barrett has a question here that actually is one that I wanted to ask. He's just wording it better than I would have. But earlier,
What's up, Barrett?
Barrett's just killing it. Earlier, you mentioned that. Here, let me throw up his question, then I'll elaborate. What goal do you have for yourself as an author now that you're traditionally published and have signed your second deal? Where I was coming from with this same question was when you were talking about finding an agent and really like connecting with the one you ended up with. You talked about how she got what you wanted to do with your career. So that's what I want to know about. And I think that's what Barrett's also asking about here. Like, what do you want out of your career?
Man, I just want to keep writing and I want to be excited about what I'm writing about. Like I feel really proud of what I was able to accomplish with Rosa. Like I feel really proud when I get included with these other, diverse YA contemporary stories that aren't about a specific, trauma, aren't about a specific, because it felt like for a minute there that, you couldn't write a Latino teen story without it being either about quinceañeras or deportation. So the fact that we're writing these sort of like stories that we've seen, other characters get all the time, I feel really proud to be in that sort of canon of books. So I would love to continue to write YA like this, YA that's fun and romantic and hopefully with a lot of heart and hopefully, with funny families and whatever it is. Like,
yeah.
That feels really good for me. And I feel so proud when like new writers, young, new debut authors that are also writing the same stuff, like getting sent their books to Blurb, knowing that, Rosa meant something to them. Like that feels like I'm continuing something, like I'm handing a ladder back, like we're out here, we're doing stuff. Like, so continuing to write in sort of that canon of story is really like the whole thing for me. So getting to write a middle grade now that's sort of in the same vein but younger, like that feels like me and my editor call the middle grade Latina Lizzie McGuire. So it's just so fun to get to do, stuff like this that stars, kids like me, kids like, my community and kids like that I grew up with and stuff like that. So to get to do this, continue it, that would be really cool. To not be that one hit wonder. That's my goal.
Yeah. Same. I have to have the first hit first, but same. I don't know why Ava's asking me if I type. Oh, is it? We were talking earlier about how I'm just writing. I do type pretty fast. Sometimes faster than my brain can think. So often I'll so have you had to extend any deadlines, or have you been punctual, which is unlike us Latinos in general?
I did recently have to ask for like the next week, in the next, a couple more days or whatever it is. I've been really lucky to be able to get everything done when I needed to get done and not be given like super tight deadlines because, I have heard of authors who, hey, can you turn this around in a week? And you also have a day job and all these other things. And that's, that's hard to do. But this is also another reason why I super love my agent. Like I got like this last month has been really busy for me because I have like 4 different things going on. Like I have the second book, I have the middle grade, and I have 2 short stories, right? Not crazy. But it felt like everything kept coming in at the same time. So everybody wanted line edits at the same time. Everybody wanted, so I was like, oh gosh. So I was trying to get everything done.
Yeah.
And I got an email from an editor who was like, hey, can you get these past pages to me by Friday? And I had a middle grade due, the next round due Wednesday. And I was like, and I had just gotten that email, and like 30 minutes later, my agent's like, hey, do you want me to ask for an extension? Because she knows my schedule. No, I know. But because she knows my schedule, she's already like getting in front of it. Like, do you need an extension? I'll do it. You know, I'll talk to your, editor. So you don't have to ask for it. So it's just that extra line of defense for me that when you're doing like 5 different things at once, that it would be hard for me at that point to do it all by myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
God, that is a lot. I can tell that Barrett is going into his rapid fire question mode right now. So, plotter or pantser?
Plotter. I love an outline.
Yeah, same. I'm a gardener. Do you use Scrivener or Word or something else?
I use Scrivener to draft when I'm putting the project together, and then as soon as it has left the nest and has gone to an editor, I got to be in Word because that's where track changes and everything happens. If we could do track changes for real in Scrivener, I would never leave.
Makes sense. First read from the editor pal on Twitter to debut release day. How long?
Oh, like how long was from like
concept to execution, your first book?
Well, I sold Rosa to Hannah at Disney. I got the offer December 20th, 2017. And the book came out May 14th, 2019. So a little under 2 years.
Right on. Did your agent work with you on your marketing, social media, tour plans? You talked a little bit about that. How
she was all over that stuff.
Team effort.
Mm-hmm.
Did you send gifts to your publicists, editors, and agents once you were published?
I did. I sent Harry and David chocolates to my editor, and every year for Christmas I send my agent something. I sent her our first year, I sent her a box of oranges from a citrus grove down here. I like to be on theme. And then this year I sent her through Goldbelly. I sent her a box of pastelitos from Miami. So
that's smooth. That's a smooth move.
I'm real smooth, man. I'm real smooth.
Yo, those little guys will just win anybody. So I'm going through the list of questions that I had prepared for you before Barrett took over my show.
Books by Barrett.
Books by Barrett. Damn it. Foiled again. All right, so most of this stuff we kind of touched on, so I'm just scrolling through real quick. Oh, okay, so when you're writing, you mentioned that you're a plotter.
Mm-hmm.
What about word count and scheduling? How do you do your work?
I plot. I love this one book, Story Genius. That really helped me sort of figure out how I do the beginning work of plotting out my story beats and my character and whatever the arc is, and then I work in post-it notes. I love post-it note index card. I have this huge cork board in my office, and because I'm really tactile, I have to move the chapters around. I have to see them. And then if I know that I put this over here in chapter 19, but it needs to happen over here. And, actually chapter 13 through 15, do I really need that? I need to see myself moving it around. Otherwise it becomes mush in my head,
Yeah.
So
we're very similar in that way, I think.
yeah, I need the arsenal of pens and index cards and changing the color for what act it is. So I know that, okay, because I do like to have things. It's not that I try to make every chapter the same length, but there is a certain rhythm to it that I like to follow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way, especially in the beginning. There's a lot of different colored pens, a lot of like different colored index cards. There's a lot of just like color coordination stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just like, and I started using this thing called Dabble Writer.
Mm-hmm.
It's web-based, so you don't have to download anything. You just log into your website, and it formats your whole manuscript as you're writing it.
Wow.
And it's got the index card version that it creates automatically. Every time you create a new scene, it creates an index card for it. So you can switch over to the board and move your stuff around and then switch back, and it's all perfect. So that's a free one. You don't have to. There is I think a pro version that I think it's like $35 or something like that. But for those of you out there who are looking for a way to do that digitally, kind of have the freedom of plotting, but on your computer. That's one way that I found to be able to do it. Let's see. So how many overall edits / rewrites on Rosa Santos specifically, being your first book? You mentioned all the different, developmental edit and all that, and you said 2 rounds of developmental edit. So like how many edit phases did you go through?
I think Rosa was 3 developmental rounds, honestly, but it's always the third one is like really short and fast, because I have learned that my process is that I'm going to break the book in the second round. Like that's just always going to happen, because I'll get all those edits in the first round and I'm like, oh, okay, I see. I figured it out. No, you didn't. But I had to break it to sort of really see it. So for me, like that's my sweet spot. If I can get 3 developmental rounds, if I have time for that, that's really where I figure the book out. And then after that, it'll be like one big line edit. And that's, where you see the editor all up in the draft, and like, it's your decision to accept or stet something. And then, I think we did like 2 rounds of copy edits, and then you'll get the pass pages. And the pass pages where, with Rosa, like I got a huge document that was like the book printed in, landscape mode, and you like going over it with your pen this is your last time to read it. And like, because it's already been printed and they've already it's gone to production. So, you can't make huge, like you got like 10%. So it's not like, oh, I wanted to take out this whole chapter. You can't take out that chapter. They already printed it. Like you can add periods and change out words and change dialogue, but so, and like with Our Way Back to Always, like I just finished the second past pages queries, which is just them round after round of them reading the book, that their copy editors, their editors, their proofreaders, and sort of just making sure, hey, did you mean this here? Or, tracking it in a way that sort of gets lost to us, that it's like, I don't know what day of the week it is when I wrote, all the things that we miss.
I think ever since COVID, like nobody knows what day of the week it is.
Oh my gosh.
I think the only way I know is the fact that I have this show every Sunday. It's the only way I keep track. I was wondering about it flooded out of my head. Okay, hold on. Let me ask you this one. Oh, okay. So, from all the things that you learned writing your first book, putting it out, publishing, all that, what did you do differently on your second go around? What sort of like big changes in your modus operandi did you make?
I think, and I did do some pretty big edits with Rosa in the developmental edits. Like I took out whole like things that I was trying to do. There was like a magic book at one point. Like she got a book that was her abuelo's book that she found and all this kinds of stuff. And it's like my editor's like, I really, really love this, but I don't think you need it, because I think in my first book, I wanted to do everything.
Yeah.
Like I knew all of the things that I loved. I had all of these ideas, and here's my one shot. I'm going to put it all in this book. And I realized that the book didn't need it, and the book was suffering from it, of me trying to pack so much into it. So I think with the second book, it's like I continue to sort of realize, okay, this is not going to be my only shot. Even though I don't have a third book sold yet, I know what I'm capable of, and I know I need to write this story, not try to write all of the stories that I want to write that are like this in this one book. So I think just giving myself letting myself realize that the book needs to just be the book and not everything that I want to write. There will be more books.
Yeah.
Right.
You're hitting close to home right now. That's an ouchie. I have to rethink my whole book. So are there currently any plans for adapting your stories into other mediums? Anything you can talk about?
No comment. Yes.
Copy.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. Got it. So, knowing what you know now, what, almost 3 books in? Working on your third, right?
Yeah.
What would you tell early days Nina when she's sitting down to write her first book?
I think about this all the time, because I have specific moments that sort of stick out in my mind, moments where like I was, 50 rejections in, and I was like, what am I even doing? Like, is this what I'm tired, because it's hard. It's harder to be told no over and over and over again about something that you're so passionate about, I wish I could just tell her to, relax, like enjoy the moment, enjoy being a writer, like enjoy writing, because I think, because it becomes a job. It becomes a job with deadlines. Like I've got like 3 line edits, and there comes moments where you don't feel cute about it anymore. You don't feel passionate about it anymore. And you're like, people are like, how do you get into the writing mood? You want to light a candle and have some tea? And it's like, I don't get to be, romantic about it anymore sometimes, because it feels like I have 5 deadlines, and I'm trying to remember, what even I was trying to do with this story, because it does become, becomes work. But I try to
multiple projects at once.
Yeah,
like you're working on several,
and it's incredibly exciting when I sort of zoom out and let myself, realize, wow, Nina, that's you're doing it. But in the moment, it's work. So I think sometimes it's like, not only do I want to tell, pre-published Nina to relax and enjoy the ride, but I want pre-published Nina to tell published Nina, hey, look around, like.
That's a great answer.
Flip
it. Yeah, she probably would tell you that, wouldn't she?
Can I get my charger?
What question in interviews are you really tired of being asked? And you can be honest if it's one of the ones that was asked today.
No, this is great. I think sometimes it can be a little. There are moments where I'm like super proud and super excited to be able to talk about, Latinx content and being a Latina writer and stuff like that. But sometimes you do want to get invited to stuff where you get to just sort of talk about and not like sort of brand yourself by your identity.
Or so I represent a particular idea.
Yeah,
people like just be.
Yeah, because it's like, I am not the be all end all of, Cuban, Colombian, American stories. And I don't want to be. I don't want to I just want to open the door and pass the ladder back and make more room at the table. Like, I don't want to be, trying to represent all of that, because, I barely represent me, man.
And on the flip side to that, what's the one question you wish people would ask, but they never do?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, I guess to just sort of let me talk about other stuff, talk about what I'm into, talk about ideas that I'm excited about. I guess sometimes you just want to geek out about writing and books and not be so like specific about, the business or the publishing or whatever. Like you just still want to be that obsessive little
Yeah.
fangirl or fanboy, you just want
Yeah.
to let's talk books, man,
Yeah. I like it. Well, that was the last question that I had planned for you. In the chat, if you guys have any last ones that you want to send her way. Nina, how much more time do you have with us?
I have time. I'm actually plugging in my phone because it was about to die, so we're
Oh
good.
boy. Okay. You're plugging it out. Would you get an extension cord? Is Craig like
He's
assembling
literally
something?
wait. Oh, okay. He said don't put me on camera.
I love this dude.
There. There.
So, all that being said, then, what are you reading right now? What are you geeking out about these days?
I'm actually
Do
I'm
you even
always
have time
reading.
to read anymore?
I'm trying to. I get sent a lot of early books of writers to blurb them, and which is an incredibly humbling. I'm honored to do it, but sometimes it can kind of pile up, and you just feel like you're always writing for work and reading for work and writing for work and reading for work, and it's kind of like So what helps me and what I've been trying to do this year is just sort of like reread old favorites.
Nice.
Because it's almost like watching The Office 100 times. It's the comfort of knowing that you love this already, but sort of getting to re-experience it and not think about other stuff. So I'm always
especially if
like,
it's been a long time, because you're a different person and you're going to pick up new things.
So I've been rereading a lot of books, a lot of like old YA faves, a lot of old romance faves so I don't have to think about work.
Well, on that opposite note, then, what are you reading for work? Any middle grade that you're reading for your new middle grade book?
Yeah, I love one of my favorites is The First Rule of Punk by Celia Perez, which is you'll love this.
That I'm already in. Like
it's so good. It's about this girl who she has her mom is like Mexican, her dad's a white American guy, but she's from Gainesville. So she like mentions and like the dad's this little like punk guy, and so she's like caught between worlds, caught between identities, and then she starts a band, and it's so good. And Celia's
so they just gender bent me.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. This is like right up your alley.
I'm gonna check that out. My sister singing your praises.
Yay!
So this has been a whole lot of fun. Ignore that question. That was supposed to be gone. What do you want to plug before we start wrapping this up? Anything you want people to know about? Anywhere you want them to go?
Well, they can find me on Twitter. I'm at Nina_Writes.
I've got your website scrolling on the bottom right now as well.
Yeah, NinaMoreno.com. I actually got my name website, so that was great. It used to be Nina Moreno Writes, and then as soon as Nina Moreno became available, I was like, that's mine.
Snatch that.
And on Instagram, I'm at Nina Moreno there. So I'm just sort of taking over my name wherever I can,
I wanted to ask you about that. I'm glad you reminded me. When you started your career as a writer, you used your already pre-existing Instagram.
Yes.
I, for example, created a separate one.
Yeah.
So
I have a lot of friends who do that. They separate the two.
Where are you coming from with that?
I think for me, like I grew up on the internet a lot, and I was somebody who had, if a new social media, whatever opened up, I got on and to at least lock my name down, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And like I used to blog a lot, and I was on Blogger, and I was on LiveJournal, and I was on all these things. And, when I had my kids, I would blog about my kids, and, but then I reached a point, I guess I'm in that sweet sort of spot between Generation X and millennials where I'm like, I was done sharing so much about myself. Like I was done, like I'm looking at my kids and I'm like, I don't need to be posting all these pictures of them. That, you know, they're their own people, and they don't want, you know, me sharing all this stuff. So it became really easy for me to just sort of transition the Instagram I already had to one that just was more curated and focused on my writer life. And like, if I, you know, the kids do something especially cute and I'm like, I have to share this, like, I'll do the little like close friends thing on my Instagram stories or whatever. But I don't know. I just came to a place in my life where I don't really feel the need to share a lot about my personal life or my kids or even, you know,
So
Craig.
there wasn't even a need to divide the two. You just
I just didn't need it anymore. So it became. I'm glad that it became easy, because otherwise I couldn't handle any more social media. Like I can't do the TikTok. I can't. You know, I just.
When I started this whole thing, on launch day, I launched Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, like and now I have an Instagram for this thing. Like everything else is still there, but I don't even look at it anymore. I'm like, I give up. Just, it's too much. Just set it all. Just focus on one.
That's always one of the pieces of advice that like my super good at marketing friends, author friends, tell me, is they like, the people who feel like they need to be everywhere are the people who burn out. Like, figure out what you're good at and just go be good at it, because people can tell that, you know, when you're just sort of recycling content or whatever it is. Like, pick the one you're good at and then do that. You don't have to be everywhere.
It's good advice. Good advice. Chat, any last questions? Let us hear them now. Yeah, this has been fun, man. Is Our Way Back to Always already out, or is it coming out soon?
It's out October 12th, I think. October 12th, 2021.
So close to the magic date that we both share in our lives.
Every year. Happy birthday. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, whoever's first wins. Right on. So October, and is it coming out in all formats at once? Audiobook, ebook, all that?
I haven't heard about it. I'm not 100% sure about the audiobook yet. I'm confident, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it'll be hardcover, and then we'll see about a paperback. Paperbacks aren't always guaranteed with YA. But like Rosa came out in paperback last year, so she's available. Her, you know. I talk about her like my third kid.
I was gonna say, you refer to the book as a she.
Yeah.
The book has an identity.
My baby.
All right. Well, Nina, thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, man. This is awesome.
I'm so happy. This was great. I'm happy for you and everything you're doing. Everybody, pick up her book. Pick up her second book in October, and actually finish it, unlike me, because I'm trying to make a deadline.
No, I hear you, dude.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I've set this deadline. Like, I've set deadlines before, but this is the one that I need to make in order for the book to still like come out this year, like by December, like I want it to. So this is the make it or break it one.
I have full faith in you, bro.
I got it. The editing is gonna suck.
Wow.
It's gonna be bad.
Editing always sucks. Writing sucks. What are we doing?
Why do we do this to ourselves? Masochists.
We're a bunch of high school burnouts who decided to do homework for the rest of their lives.
Nonsense. All right, everybody, thank you for being here. Nina, thank you for being here. This was great. And stick around for a minute. I'm gonna close this out, and then we'll say goodbye. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Happy Sunday, and see you next week when the great and powerful Barrett Laurie, who rocked our stream today, will be on the show, and we're gonna be talking LGBTQ representation in fiction. So it should get pretty serious. Later, y'all. Deuces.